Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. And today the topic that we're going to get into, or the point of discussion, it's kind of hard to give this a specific name, but it's kind of, to sum it up, it's almost like, what is the sum of how a man or a woman should be treated in all aspects of life? Or just kind of like a balance of where, we all have our opinions in terms of whether it's relationships, in terms of friendships, in terms of the role you'll play as a mom, as a dad, as a son, as whatever, how you're supposed to be treated from whatever angle that you're coming from. So this could potentially apply to everybody. I think this video will be a good talking point and a bit of a good insight for people who are just questioning their position in life and wondering how you should be treated in life. And I think a lot of times too, we have a idea on how we want to be treated in life, but don't always treat others in that same light. But this is kind of not just kind of reiterating the golden rule of treat others how you want to be treated, but enhancing that to a level of specifically a guide on how the best way to be treating people around you, or how you want to be treated is. So I came up with this concept a little while back, a couple months back, just on a point of discussion, but didn't really hit it too hard in terms of, any kind of speaking points here on the channel. And that is, when it comes to determining how someone should be treated, let's first take the dynamic of, for example, a relationship, which is the most common aspect. You'll have a man and a woman together who, they'll say, and I'm just using that as an example, not limiting to man and woman. Obviously, we're in an era now where it's all over the place, but, just focus with me. You have a man and a woman, and a lot of times guys will have a certain viewpoint of how they want to be treated and their value, and a woman will have a certain viewpoint of how she feels she should be treated and her value. And a lot of times it's not balanced because, all these different dynamics going on. Who has more power in the relationship? What I mean by that is who has a higher maybe market value out there, or perceived market value. They may not necessarily be worth more than their partner, but they think that way because they get a lot of attention, or this and that, or whatever the case is, or whatever this. And that doesn't apply for necessarily the man or the woman. It could be either one, because sometimes that is the case where the guy has more value, or sometimes the woman has more value in terms of their perceived value, and then how they proceed to treat the person that they're with. But a balance to understanding how a person should be treating the other person in fairness. And this is not a perception of subjectiveness, I feel it should be this way, or whatever the case is. It's taking an average sum of the way all the people that as an individual who play that role in your life, you would want them to be treated, or view that they should be treated. And that becomes the sum total of how you should treat that individual that you're dealing with, or how you should be treated. So to further that example, if you are a guy and you're in a relationship with a woman, the way you should be treated is the way I want to spin this correctly. So you'll kind of already know the way you want to be treated. So I won't even say it from the standpoint of how you feel you should be treated for your own point of view, but you should be treated based on, as far as your partner, if the man is with a female and his partner, the way she treats her dad, the way she would eat, if she has a dad in the picture or whatever. Obviously everyone had a dad, but if that person was in their life, how she would treat her dad, how she would treat her son, how she would want her grandpa to be treated, and all her siblings, if she has brothers, how she wants them to be treated when they're in the same kind of scenario or situation. And that becomes the sum total of how you should be, the man should be received or treated in return that same way. And that would be the true sense of how, he's going to already know how he wants to be treated, but that's a good calibration on how the woman should be treating him, and him knowing this is how I should be treated, and the example that he would be able to give to her. This is how I want to be treated based on the perception you retrieve them. Because most of the time, say if a woman is in a dating world, she's not going to treat her brothers a certain way. She's not going to want her father or to be treated a certain way. Or maybe it's not coming from her, but just how she wants them to be treated. Like if she has brothers and they're in the dating world, she doesn't want them to be treated, disrespectfully or undervalued. She wouldn't want her father, if he went back into the dating world, hypothetically, whether, he's with her mom still or maybe he's not. But if he's back in the dating world, she wouldn't want someone using him for his resources or anything like that. She also wouldn't want, if she has a son, to be used in any kind of way or disrespected or treated a certain way. So that becomes a sum total of how she should also want the man she's with to be treated. Same vice versa. If a woman is asking to herself, how she would want to be treated and how she wants the guy to view her, that man should treat her and view her the same way he would treat his daughter, he want his mom to be treated, and the same way he would want his sisters to be treated. Now, we also know too, a lot of times women don't always, I hear some women who have siblings will say this and kind of understand, man, I don't want my brothers being treated like this. But you definitely hear this when it comes to men who will say, and I'm not singling out men because sometimes women are the ones treating the men even worse, but men acknowledge it when it comes to their behavior versus say a daughter or a sibling or something like that. Like I've heard this story since the beginning of time. The player type of guy, he's running around and all of a sudden when he has kids and he has a daughter, he's like, oh man, I'm being punished because of my ways. Or, I got to make sure my daughter is not around any guy who's like me, so it's that acknowledgement of, okay, this is not the way I would want someone I really care about to be treated, but I don't mind treating someone this way. So once again, so in the case of the man, it would be your sister, your daughter, your mom, your grandma. How would you expect them to be treated? And like I said, so taking this away from the relationship standpoint and into just a regular, maybe friendship standpoint, or even a standpoint of how you are in the family. The reason why I say things like grandpa and grandma is very important too, because how do you want your relationships in terms of your children, your grandchildren, the other family members in the household or whatever to treat you when you get older? That is also a point of having that respect early on and then being treated that way when you get to that stage. I say that because we know there's some elderly who are, this goes into a whole nother category of not maybe establishing healthy family bonding and growing and establishing a family. But nonetheless, you'll have some family members in the household who might be in their late 60s, grandparent age. And let's not get it mistaken. That is grandparent age. We're already in an era where people think that, 40 is the new 30 and, 60s is, the beginning of a parent age. And it's not, that's grandparent age. But nonetheless, you have some family members who are in that age range and they are, not respected or treated in that way, partly because maybe their life isn't where it should be, but also too, just in general, sorry about that. But also too, in general, it's, getting respected in that manner and or not getting respected in that manner versus what you traditionally remember your grandparents being like the king and queen of the family matriarch, or at least that aspect or that portion of your family. Maybe the other side of your family is different, but you get the point. So it's a way of having that, where we know how we should be treated or treating others based on the sum total of how we would treat the other people in our life that have a certain similar, not position, but I would say it's almost like you're getting past, present, and future. When you say as we'll say, just for example, a woman, if you have a son, that's a reflection of how you want how a man should be treated when he's young, the same way you want to treat, how a man should be treated when he's young the same way you want to treat your son. It's like, okay, you want him to receive love. You want him to receive respect at a young age. You don't want to treat him like whatever. You also don't want to feel like, oh, he's not cool. He's not in, the way sometimes it gets when people are really young. And, you know, when a woman when females are young versus the men who are not quote unquote in or, you know, like fancy or cool or whatever you want to call it, they get treated a certain way. But then when a woman is older and has kids, she's like, I want my son being treated, you know, with respect. I want him to be, people to see him in a way where they treat him nice. So it's understanding that for the past or young age. Then the middle kind of zone where it's like your partner who you would be dating, well, you get that kind of connection by your male siblings, brothers that you might have. You care about them. You don't want a female crapping on them, shitting on them, whatever the case is, in terms of the way they're treated, using them for the resources, abusing them or anything like that. So that gives you a sense of how, you know, a man should be treated at, you know, that maybe middle kind of early adult age, like, you know, early 20s up to like maybe 35. And then the way you would view like your dad is how you would say, well, a man at the age of 35 and up should be treated, even though you'd be a dad before that. But, you know, from that point of where maybe like your dad, how you view your dad, if he went back into the dating game, is how you should be viewing your man in that stage as well. If you're dating, you know, if a female's dating a man, and how he should be treated. How do I want my dad being treated if he was back into the dating game, you know? So it's coming back around full circle to that. And then once again, him making it to grandpa age. And like I said, the same applies to women as well. But it's a way of you understanding a true non-subjective, but an objective way by the sum total of what you perceive. It's almost like taking a sum total of subjective views to get an objective way of treating somebody. You know, it's like taking a survey. Okay, how do I treat the young people in my life? How do I treat the people my own age inside my life, or like, you know, the young adults phase? How do I treat the older adult phase? How do I treat the grandparent phase? And that's how I should be treating everybody in my life, specifically my partner, more so than anything else, but also too, friends that I have inside my life should be treated that same way. I shouldn't be treating them like I'm trying to get over on them if I don't want someone getting over on my brother, my sister, my dad. Like, that's how you should be viewing someone. That is the sum total average of how a person in your life of any given sex should be treated, based on how you would treat those same people of that given sex in your life that is family. In the same way how you should want to be treated, or know you should be treated, by the way the other people are treating their family members. If they're treating their brothers or their sisters this way, and you're a male or female respectively, you should be be treated that same way that they're treating their brothers and sisters, or their dad or their mom. Be treated in that same way, with respect, with care of what happens to you, with care of what happens to you down the line in the future, 5 years from now. So I say that speaking point to even say, you know, when it comes to things like not only just emotional treatment that could wear down on someone over time, but even the financial treatment of, you know, if you're dealing with somebody who says, I don't care about you spending right now. Well, guess what? If we're planning on having a future together, you should care about that, because that's your future as well. So it's that whole overall perspective of them caring from you from a full lifespan perspective, and not just your point in time in my life that I don't care whether I lose or not. Taking that viewpoint and then spreading it across, like I said, the full timeline, to give a full sum total of how they should be treating you at every stage that they know you, and with consideration for every stage that they know you're going to be in their life down the line before you even get there. All right. I hope this video helped. I hope that it was clear. I know it's a little bit all over the place, but to give you guys that kind of perception of what I'm trying to get out of my brain and out there and into a talking point of just, you know, how people should be treated in the sum total of how you get that idea of how someone should be treated in a fair balance, not because of how it pertains to you or selfish needs to say, I want someone to treat me like this because that's what I want. Like if I have a partner and whether I'm male or female, whatever the case is, but I'm going to use this example. And if I'm like, I want that person to spend money on me all the time, I want them to take me all out, even though they're struggling and they work a bunch of hours, they barely have time to whatever, but I don't care. that's wrong, because I wouldn't want that for a brother or sister of mine. I wouldn't want that for my dad or mom, or my son or daughter. I wouldn't want that for them. So for me to say I want that, to receive that for me, is selfish. And I know it's selfish because I wouldn't want it for them. So you guys get the idea. As always, you guys be safe, take care, like, share, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.